When you make a good eye contact with someone, is similar to making good handshake. You generate oxytocin, the chemical of bonding. It is similar to when the mother touches the newborn. I'll say it in real time. So your eyes right now going top left to ask this question. The eye blink rate is also very significant. If there's something that you get a little stressed about, a little anxious, the eyes start blinking fast. Where you just touched your eyelid. So that is a sign of blocking, an eye blocking behavior.
Spiritual people and people who are very charismatic, they have a very long and a very intentful gaze. How do you decode that?
Very famous video of Osho, he's talking about God, then your belief. He speaks for almost like 1 minute. He's not blinking. Both the eyebrows go up as he's speaking. Why do you think people do that?
Even psychopaths do that?
Even sociopaths, Elizabeth Holmes, even they do that. They don't break the eye contact. Too much of eye contact is a part of threat tracking.
If I'm fidgeting with the nose or the movements of the nose, what does that tell you about an individual?
The man can't touches his nose a lot. If you see that he keeps talking, he touches, is that a part of his baseline? There was a research done by Chicago Taste and Treatment Research Center. If there is something that causes you a lot of stress, you feel tingling in your nose.
How would you decode Salman Khan's behavior?
Very territorial. I'd say that whenever that he's sitting for the old interviews, he claims a lot of space.
Mr. Gaurav Gill, India's leading body language specialist and forensic psychologist, is highly sought after in decoding behavior and identifying threats. Accomplished in perception management and the art of persuasion, influence, and criminal body language, he consults the Delhi Police's crime branch's anti-human trafficking unit while training the elite forces like CISF, RPF, and child helpline officers.
In a period of 18 minutes, who did a hand gesture of almost around 446 times, their videos had way more views in comparison to those people who had around 200 hand gestures. So your hand gestures also pulls the other person's attention. I'll go back to Bill Clinton, that I did not have sexual relationships with Miss Lewinsky.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
In that video, he did not move his hand. He's standing like this, but otherwise he likes to talk with his hands. Just like Sandeep Maheshwari, he talks a lot with his hands. If the hands were moving earlier, and all of a sudden you ask something sensitive and stressful, and then the hands don't move, it's a red flag. Elon Musk doing this, and a lot of leaders also do this with their fingers played out. This is called a steeple, high power pose, to get my point across that I am the one who's in command. So hands say a lot. In a period of 2 minutes, your testosterone levels will spike.
We talked about Donald Trump. I'd like you to decode his personality.
He goes into the slow kill. He'll keep asking, but slowly and gradually, then he gets into an attacking mode. He follows 3 T's. For all these leaders, they don't nod a lot. The people who nod a lot, they want to come across as that I'm pleasing you and everything's alright. The leaders don't do that. What do you think is the most honest part of the body?
What would crossing one foot over the other mean?
You've seen a lot of people doing that in Shark Tank. Barack Obama, when he used to walk, so he'd look at the camera like this and he'd walk and long strides. The reason is, the next guy, I said Putin. So when he walks, he moves only one hand. The simple reason is, all the leaders, they'd like to wear a red colored tie.
Yes.
It's a sign of leadership.
Colors, can you help us understand?
Shri Arvind Kejriwal, he wears a lot of blue shirt. There's a color psychology, the color yellow. It whets your appetite. McDonald's, you think of a lot of food outlets, they have yellow color.
So when you're yawning, it says that it's infectious and everyone tends to yawn. Why does that happen? If I'm going out on a date, what are some of the green flags and the red flags? How do I know if my prospect partner is a cheater or not?
Psychopathic tendencies, there's no feeling of remorse, no feeling of emotion, whether it be Ted Bundy, whether it be Charles Shobraj, whether it be Edmund Kemper who cut his own mother. They usually start off with the cats and dogs. They start cutting them up.
We warmly welcome the Assistant Professor of Indira Gandhi National Open University for the very first time, the distinguished Mr. Gaurav Gill. First is Abhishek and Aishwarya. The rumors are that they're getting a divorce, they're splitting up. What can you say on the basis of their body language? Body language of Virat Kohli.
Oh, Virat Kohli, he has very vigilant eyes. When he looks, that he keeps scanning his environment.
I want you to read my body language. अभी हो गया है आधा पौना घंटा आपने मुझे ऑब्जर्व कर लिया होगा अब आप बताओ what is my body language.
Welcome to today's Masterclass on Body Language. What you will be learning in this episode is the subtle science of one's body language of the famous celebrities, world leaders, sports stars, how to identify a criminal, what are the secret languages of love, and perception management, which means how to make that great first impression or how to influence people. Namaskaram. I'm Shloka, a classical Hatha yoga teacher. I'm also a diet and lifestyle expert. If you'd like to be a part of our yoga, diet, and pilgrimage retreats, please contact the link in the description. And if you haven't already, I'd be very grateful if you can subscribe to the channel. Enjoy. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Mr. Gaurav Gill, it is such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I think body language is something that interests everyone. And the insights that I got from you were particularly fascinating and shocking, even. And I can't wait for the viewers to hear about them.
Thank you, Shloka ji, for inviting me over.
When I was researching for the podcast, I came across a statistic. And this was a research by the University of California, Los Angeles, where it said that 55% of the communication happens through body language, 38% happens through the voice, and only 7% happens through the spoken word. And out of all of this, 65% of the communication happens through the eyes. What are some of the movements that can help you decode different languages when you see a person's eye contact?
I'll say it in real time. So your eyes right now went top left to ask this question because you were recalling. So that could be your eye home. I am still to see where do you go to recall a lot of things. The simple reason is you can see from here, from the back of your head. This is occipital lobe. So your eyes want to go to that visual recall. The eye blink rate is also very significant. So if there's something that you get a little stressed about, a little anxious,
Yes.
the eyes start blinking fast. What is it that you don't like eating?
Brinjal.
Okay, you said brinjal. So let's say your family says, we have brinjal for dinner. And you say, okay, great. Yeah, I can eat today. But you just touched your eyelid. So that is a sign of blocking, an eye blocking behavior. So when you touch your eye, I'm going to talk about a little bit of science if that's okay.
Sure.
So the moment I touch my eyelid, it stimulates my vagus nerve, and from vagus it goes on to my oculocardiac reflex. So immediately when I rub this, my heart gets soothed. That is the reason you do this, because you don't like what the other person is saying, but yet you're smiling. So you're giving that mixed signals to the other person. But usually this, when person starts rubbing their eye in response to something that you said, is usually that they did not like what you just said.
Okay. Like I see this with a lot of spiritual people and people who are very charismatic or are known to be charismatic in the public eye.
Yeah.
They have a very long and a very intentful gaze. Like when
Yeah.
they're looking at you, they are looking at you.
Yeah.
How would you decode that?
Okay. See, as you asked me this question, I'm sorry, I'll keep.
Yeah, please. I'm so conscious right now.
Yeah, but don't be conscious. But as you're asking me those questions, your eyes almost did a anti-clockwise move. So that is called a transderivational search. It is like rifling through your C drive, D drive, E drive. What was the question? So you
Recalling.
you're recalling the whole anti-clock. And the long hypnotic stare. So there's a very famous video of Osho. He's talking about God and your belief and your doubt. He speaks for almost like 1 minute or a few seconds. But he's not blinking. He's not blinking. He's looking at you. And both the eyebrows go up as he's speaking.
Yeah.
Both the eyebrows. Have you seen that?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah. Why do you think people do that? Both the eyebrows up and as they speak. What do you think?
They want to assert their presence.
Okay, yes. They want to assert their presence. True. And they want to say, are you on board with me on this? They're fishing for resonance. Okay. Do you believe what I am talking about? So both the eyebrows up and they'll talk like this. Slight neck tilt, riveting eye contact. Don't break that eye contact. Blink like 2 to 3 times in a minute. Just keep your eyes steady.
Yeah.
Whether it be Osho, whether it be Charles Shobraj, whether it be Elizabeth Holmes, whether it be
Charles Sobrat was a psychopath. You're saying even psychopaths do that?
even psychopath, even sociopaths, Elizabeth Holmes, so who did that multi-million-dollar scam for Theranos. So even they do that. So they don't break that. They don't break the eye contact. They keep looking at you. The pupil dilates, and that's a sign of interest. Now you think of Hamley's toys. I'm sure. Have you seen their eyes? They have big beady eyes. Big beady eyes.
Okay.
Those toys sell more in comparison to the ones which have constricted pupils. That doesn't attract attention. Make it big. Make this pupil big. That becomes very attractive and seductive. So pulls children, pulls people, get the beady eyes. It's very beckoning.
Is that the reason they say the people with big eyes are supposed to be very alluring or very attractive even?
Yes. So when you now, why do people go for candlelight dinners?
Yeah.
That is because when the light is less, then your pupil dilates. It becomes bigger in size because it wants to take as much as information that it has, whether it be your partner or anything interesting that you see. You get more stimulated when there is less of light. It was also said that Cleopatra also used to put some medicine to get the pupil dilated so that it would attract people's attention. Pupil dilation is a way to pull people. You are more attractive when the pupil is dilated, but when it is constricted, it is thinner. It's not a way to pull people. So there's this one video. Have you heard of? I'm sure you've heard of Bill Clinton, the former American president, and as we spoke, that there's a normal range of eye blink rate 12 to 20. So he goes ahead and talks about his early life, that how he was working at a grocery store in his younger days, and how somebody, I think he's a left-handed individual, somebody told him, "Oh, you use your left hand. Oh, that is very sinister. That doesn't go well." And he starts blinking right there. That can be seen in the video. And the blink rate goes up to around 35 to 40. That causes him stress. Second video, where Bill Clinton denies his affair with Monica Lewinsky. I have nothing to do with that woman. So he says, I did not have sexual relationships with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Distancing language. And the blink rate in that 1 minute is 95 plus. The blink rate is through the roof. It is simply because of the cognitive overload. You can't handle the stress, so the eye is blinking through the roof.
So if I'm lying, through my eye contact, can you make out and how so?
Before I say this, do you remember what you had for lunch yesterday?
I'll have to think about it.
Take
Yeah,
your
I
time.
do.
So no matter what you say, I'll believe it because I don't know what you had for lunch. But again, your eyes went to top right.
Yes.
Right? So, but you broke your eye contact.
Yeah.
But you're not lying. So, everybody who breaks an eye contact is not lying. There is a new research. Somebody makes too much of eye contact is a part of threat tracking. Are you believing what I'm saying? So, they'll not break their eye contact. They'll keep looking at you. It is also called as romancer, though it's not romancing, but strong riveted eye contact, threat tracking. So, it's also a red flag. Too much of eye contact from strangers can also mean that they're trying to see your activity or monitor. And trying to make out if the other person is lying just by eye contact, that's a difficult one. But I can figure out that they're stressed or not liking what I'm saying or trying to come up with different answers, deviation from their eye home, that I can figure out.
Okay. So it doesn't mean if there's too much eye contact, that could also mean that I'm lying.
That is,
And if
yes,
there's too little contact, it does not ascertain that I'm not lying.
that is true.
Okay.
That is true.
What about the nose? If I'm fidgeting with the nose or the movements of the nose,
Yeah.
what does that tell you about an individual?
Okay. So you know that when you send an email,
Yeah.
you send a CC to someone and then you send a BCC to someone, right? I'm going to talk about B triple C or B4Cs. Okay, so B is baseline of behavior. C is context of the situation. That is very important. The next C is culture, from where you're coming, right? The next C is cluster, the cluster of behaviors. So not just one, there'll be 2 to 3 non-verbal cues that will come in a period of 6 to 7 seconds. So there was a research done by Chicago Taste and Treatment Research Center. If there is something that causes you a lot of stress, you feel tingling in your nose. And you immediately want to touch your nose because the catecholamines, the stress hormones, when they start secreting, you feel that tingling, so you want to do something to your nose. You can't help it. But it is not Pinocchio's nose. I'd like to mention that
Not a lying person's nose.
not a
Okay.
lying person. It's just that person is getting very stressed. Now you have to ascertain why. So whether it be a 4-year-old or whether it be a 50-year-old, everybody would do that. And I also have to say again, the person might just have cold and flu. That's why they're touching their nose. Salman Khan touches his nose a lot. So if you see that he keeps talking, he
Yes.
touches, is that a part of his baseline? You have to see more to see that if that's a part of his baseline, he keeps talking a lot like that. So if he's doing every now and then without any provocation or stimulation, that could be a part of his baseline.
Okay.
Yeah. But the timing of the gesture, which I said, no, you ask something and then it happens. That's interesting.
important.
Yeah, that's important.
How would you decode Salman Khan's body language?
Okay, for Salman Khan's body language, very territorial. I'd say that whenever that he's sitting for the old interviews, he claims a lot of space. So,
Okay.
yeah, he claims a lot of space and he's very confident that ways. So when I say territorial, means that they claim a lot of space. So I might be sitting like this, my legs spread like this. So he's very territorial that ways. He's very confident that ways.
What about the eyebrows? You talked about Osho always,
Yeah.
popping his eyebrows. What are some of the other cues that you can make out through a person's eyebrow movements?
See, the eyebrows that you mentioned, these are involuntary muscles.
Okay.
You really have no control over them.
But I can do this.
Yeah, that you can do, but if you're surprised, you're angry, these are things that are happening on their own, right? Right between your eyebrows, there are 2 vertical lines. That's called glabella. Somebody does this, either they're not sure, they're not very confident about what you're saying, skeptical, so concerned. So you'll see that flashing. And with eyebrows, that you'd see that even if the person touches their eyebrow, that is also a sign of eye blocking, not liking what you're saying. So when you are a child and you see something unpleasant and you do this because you don't want to see that, now you're old enough, you can't do that. So you start doing that. You start rubbing your eyebrows.
Okay. What about the lips?
Lips, they're very sensitive. And yes, there's so much to say about lips because it has a lot of nerve endings. So it is said that when the stress is near, the lips disappear like that. So a lot of contestants who come on Kaun Banega Crorepati show and they're not really sure about it and they have to take a lifeline, they go like this. They really don't know. So that's some stress, some withheld opinion, or some withheld information. And only lower lips getting retracted, getting emotional. That is emotional. Okay. So, and you've seen, no, somebody getting pale in fear
Yeah.
because the blood
Yeah.
withdraws from lips and they just become white because it's the blood receding away from it. So you can see a lot from lips. And
Wetting of the lips? Like, yeah.
yeah, like that also.
Okay.
That's called a hygienic gesture in terms of we're just grooming, and you're very stressed, the mouth becomes dry.
Okay.
So the tongue comes out and licks it up. The tongue also, since you mentioned that. So let's say a child gets caught in the middle of something, the tongue comes out.
Yes.
Okay, so that's called a tongue jut. Susan Smith, just a case.
Okay.
In 1994, killed both her children in America. She strapped them in the car seat belt and rolled the car in the lake and drowned the car. And then she went on the camera to say that help me in finding my children after 8 days. And as she was giving this interview, the tongue comes out right before saying, can you help me in finding my children? So, there are cues that come.
Decoding Shahrukh Khan's body language.
Oh yeah, Shah Rukh Khan's body language. His wit, gives him that edge. I don't know if you remember, there was a video that, an old times video, he was hosting KBC and there was a lady professor and she comes and he
Yes.
says,
Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan, oh my God, you remember that. You've got great memory. So she's, Mr. Khan, I'm not interested in hugging you. Then he thinks, he gives it some time. He says, that's all right. I think your mother would be interested. And can I go and give her that check? She'll be interested. And I'll go and hug and take her blessings. So that he just,
Yeah.
reversed the situation.
Yeah.
And the professor was totally dumbfounded at that
Yeah.
time. He has that, quick thinking on his feet. He has that wit. His timing is brilliant. And he has open gestures, which that
Yeah,
that's
of
again a
course.
part of
Dilwale
yes,
Dulhaniya.
Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, and being
Yeah.
very territorial and confident. And he's also chivalrous, that you've seen on multiple occasions that he goes and starts arranging chairs for other people also. There was a time when he kept standing behind. These things go a long way.
But he's a good person.
Yeah, he's a great person for
Okay.
that matter. He's a great person. And he's ready to take a joke and turn it around also.
Yes. What about the hand gestures?
Okay. After eyes, people focus on the other person's hands, a lot on the other person's hands. And there was a research that was done. I'm sure you've seen TED Talks, Josh Talks, Ink Talks. There was a research done for TED Talks for the people in a period of 18 minutes who did a hand gesture of almost around 446 times, talking about, then I went there and it was a great event. We had a great time. Their videos had way more views in comparison to those people who had around 200 hand gestures in a period of 18 minutes. So your hand gestures also pulls the other person's attention. It's a way of beckoning. These hand gestures are called illustrators. So that in a way punctuates what I'm saying. So you also know that what is it that I'm trying to say. But what if my hand stop moving right there?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm involved in a car accident. Okay, you're talking to me. Hey, how's the dinner? Everything's good. Hey, where were you last night? There was a car accident that happened. Your car was missing. My hand stopped moving after that, and I say, I was right here. I don't know how come you missed my car, and my hands are no longer moving. Red flag. There's a research done by Professor Aldert Wray from Portsmouth University, wherein he says if the hands were moving earlier and all of a sudden you ask something sensitive and stressful and then the hands don't move, it's a red flag. The person is not really confident about what they're saying. You want to take interest in why did the hands just disappear? I'll go back to Bill Clinton. Okay, but I did not have sexual relationships with Miss Lewinsky. In that video, he did not move his hand. He was standing like this, but otherwise he likes to talk with his hands. Just like Sandeep Maheshwari, he talks a lot with his hands. I want to show you something. There was a man, and so that pulls other people's attention. That's what Donald Trump also does. A lot of explosive gestures is what he does. So you can show your confidence through your hands and also your low confidence through your hands.
This is a great piece for the content creators. if I want something to be viewed by a lot of people, I should be doing more hand gestures?
Yeah, hand gestures, and of course, they should be congruent with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And with a lot of hand gestures, it brings back the attention of
Okay.
the other person.
Okay.
For example, I hold out a marker and I say, look at the marker.
Yeah.
I hope you're watching it, and everybody's attention comes back.
Yeah.
Because you're focusing on the marker. Similarly, it is with the hand gestures. You've seen leaders talking like that
Yes.
with the fingers up. That is just a high power pose. It's a high power pose.
What do you mean by high power pose?
Okay. High power pose is, I can't stand, but the hands on the waist and slight distance between the legs, like arms akimbo.
Yes.
So that's a high power territorial pose. Here I'm saying like Wonder Woman standing. Now you can imagine Wonder Woman, Superman, and all Avengers standing like that.
Yeah.
Okay, chest out, chin slightly up, hands on the waist. That's high power. In a period of 2 minutes, your testosterone levels will spike and cortisol levels, which is for your stress, will plummet. For your confidence and aggression, testosterone will spike in 2 minutes. If you stand like this, chin slightly up, chest out, that's a high power pose. This is also a high power pose. Now, there was a research done by Professor Amy Cuddy. She was a professor of social psychology from Harvard University. She did this study, Fake It Till You Make It. That's the name of the study, high power pose. Your eyebrows went up, no?
Yeah.
Surprise. So, fake it till you make it. And so, this, or like Elon Musk doing this. I'm sure you've seen people doing this, and a lot of leaders also do this with their fingers splayed out. This is called a steeple. I'm steepling my fingers. Again, a high power pose to get my point across that I am the one who's in command, I am the one who's in charge. So that's a so hands say a lot.
So if I'm in a meeting and I want to appear confident, then I should be doing this high power pose.
Yeah, you can do that.
And what else?
So there should be some distance between your feet.
Okay.
Because that is how you're territorial.
Okay.
You're claiming that space.
Yeah.
But that's a sign of confidence.
If I'm doing this, then?
Yeah, this is okay. But if you're getting comfortable with what I'm saying and whatnot, the fingers will get splayed out. Okay. But you're getting stressed with what I'm saying, or I'm asking you a stressful question, and the fingers start curling in, not a fist, they just start curling in. So that's called digital tension. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. So this is one pose that I can,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
if
I
I
said
wanna.
steeple.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
like this. Okay. And also, I'm sure you've seen a lot of FBI movies and cops, and, when they're standing.
crimes.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
true crimes.
yeah.
That's where people get their interest in forensic
Yeah.
psychology these days. So you're standing on the table, and your hand is played like this
Yes.
on the table, and you're looking down on the other
It reminds me
person.
of Sharon Stone, Basic Instinct.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's another part of power pose. Or have you seen people do this when they win marathons? And
Yes.
yeah, that's what gorillas also do when they want to exert their territories. So we as per Desmond Morris, we are the species of primates.
Yeah.
There are 193 species of primates. 192 are still apes. 193rd is us.
Okay.
So that's how we still retain a lot of monkey brain. That's the theory. Not mine, but Desmond Morris, the zoologist. So, yeah.
And all of these are involuntary, right? I can't fake it. I mean, I can fake it. I can
Right.
pretend, but to
Right.
some extent, but I can't pretend all of it, right?
Excellent. That's true, because you can only do a shred of it.
Yep.
You can manage few things. But what about other things? What about your eyes? What about your hands, your feet? Everything, no? Your ears. You can't really control everything. That's not possible. They say you can have a poker face,
Yeah.
but you cannot have a poker body.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that is.
All right. So we talked about Donald Trump. I'd like you to decode his personality.
Sure. See, you see that Donald Trump doesn't follow any convention. That he is somebody who has a path of his own. He's a trailblazer, and one of the things that he does, and he really wants to, listen to the other person, and there's a debate happening. So he'll turn his whole body towards the other person. So it's not you're asking me a
Yeah.
question and I'm facing like this. So not just the head swiveling,
Yeah.
the whole body. He follows 3 T's: the top, the torso, and the toes. All of them should be angled towards that person. So 3 T's. That's how you get the other person's attention. Everything should be angled towards that person. Top, torso, and toes. The other thing is, if he gets angry, if there's something said, so he pushes his right shoulder forward. So that is a way to show his aggression. That's what he does. And you must have seen him doing this. He talks a lot like this. We are planning to
Yes.
do this. It's like a large basketball that he's holding, right? So he's doing a steeple, but with a large basketball. He has large gestures. It is again territorial. And another thing that he loves to do while handshaking few people. So when he shakes their hand, he tries to put his hand on top. and the other person tries to shake him harder, then he catches their shoulder
Yes.
hinge.
Enough is
Don't shake it, okay? Don't shake it. So yeah, he tries to take control both ways. That's what he does. Yeah.
Okay. Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk, I'd say that he's very composed.
Yeah.
He's very composed. He takes his time. There's this brilliant BBC interview because he kept listening to the guy and he was quiet the way that he is, and that's his, signature
Signature.
thing that he's thinking, and he does a lot of steeple, and he likes to come across as casual, not like a formal, presentation of his. But Elon Musk also makes a lot of strong eye contact. He makes a strong eye contact. He speaks less. For all these leaders, they don't nod a lot.
Yes.
They don't.
What does that
Okay.
mean? Too many people who nod a lot versus people who don't nod enough?
For the people who nod a lot, they want to come across as subservient. They want to come across as that I'm pleasing you and everything's all right. The leaders don't do that. They hear the whole thing,
Yes.
and then they might nod, but otherwise they would not keep nodding the whole time. They'll try to keep their head in one place.
Okay, so we just talked about the hand gestures. Just let's come to the leg movements now.
Okay.
What do my leg gestures and leg body language, if you will, tell you about my psyche or my behavior?
Okay. So let's start with this question from your end. And what do you think is the most honest part of the body?
Eyes,
Yeah. One more guess.
feet.
That's the right answer.
Okay.
Okay, since you asked that. So the principle is any part of the body which is the furthest away from the brain is the most difficult to control. Now you think of it. Your favorite track is playing in the car. Automatically your feet will start moving,
Yes.
right? And you don't like the person, but still you have to share the space. So, one foot towards the person, one foot towards the door. And you want to make an exit. So the feet convey the actual sentiment because you and I, the face has a social contract. The feet do not have any social contract. And we've been taught by our own parents to control the face.
Yeah.
Don't smile,
Yeah.
or don't show your scowl right now. So you know how to control your face, but you don't know how to control your feet. You like a person, the feet will move in that direction. Oh, you don't like that person, they get withdrawn under the chair. And that's the reason Oprah Winfrey, she never keeps a table in between. So I like the setting, we don't have a table in between. Oprah Winfrey does the same thing. She doesn't keep a table in between. You want a table, she'll keep it over here so that she can see the foot movement. Yeah. So she can see the foot movement and she even copies that. For instance, you're sitting like that, and I really want to build that rapport. So after a while, I'll also sit like that. Okay. I'll also sit like that. And of course, you'd not think much about it
Yeah.
because you'd think he just wants to get comfortable. But I'll do this after 30 seconds. Okay. So this is a subconscious signal from my brain to your brain. Oh, we are similar. He's sitting in a similar gesture or a posture. Okay. So and then you again change your posture. Then again, I'll wait for 30 seconds. Then again, I'll change it. Okay. Something's done by Oprah Winfrey. This is called isopraxisism when you copy. So the feet indicate the interest. You see a couple sitting on a dinner table, and that's what I usually talk to my wife about. Two people are sitting and having dinner, and they seem happy, and we keep guessing who's going to get up first. And I say, watch out for the feet. Then, if the feet are also touching each other, it's a good interest. But if, they're just smiling, but they're not smiling, and the feet are withdrawn under their own chair, they'll not stay there for long. And if you give too much of stress to the other person, they'll start covering their joints, my knuckles, my wrist, my knees, okay, or something more. So they'll start covering their ankle also.
What would crossing one foot over the other mean? Many people do that as a sign of whatever, being more respectable, ladylike, or gentlemanly.
Yeah. So let's say you're sitting at the airport lounge like that. So probably you just want to be comfortable. And then there's something like this,
Yes.
where you've seen a lot of people doing that in Shark Tank. The
Okay.
sharks sitting like this. So that's called an American figure four. This is number four, American figure four. Very competitive and ready to take it on. Okay. But sitting like this is just trying to be comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to be comfortable. But I'm sitting like this, and
Yeah.
you ask me,
Yeah.
who all were with you yesterday? Because you were disappeared. I said, no, I was at home. Then it is scissor legs. I've just closed down. You'd like to take note of that. The context of the situation and the timing of the gesture. You'd be able to see a lot more. So this person has closed down. Yeah.
Crossing the ankles like this.
Okay, some people like this.
Yeah.
If you see somebody doing this, that's a way of saying that this person is in no hurry to leave from there. That is why the ankles are crossed. Okay. So even if something happens, this person cannot just walk. So he'll just lock his ankles and he'll just keep standing. If you see two people standing like that, nobody's in a hurry. They're friends most likely and they're not in a hurry to leave. I'll give you an example. Have you seen men touching their face?
Yeah, so many times. I think all men do it.
All men. Why do you think they do that?
Masculinity,
Culturally, yes. Yeah. And
I don't know, trying to settle themselves.
okay, sure. Now, so we are stressed even before we are born. Okay.
Oh, like in
Yeah.
the fetus,
Yes, in the
like
fetus,
as the fetus.
as the fetus itself in the mother's womb. So there was a research done by University of Durham by Nadja Restland, and what she saw was whenever the mother was stressed, she passed that stress hormone to the fetus, and it was seen in the 4D sonogram. The child would start scratching with the left hand their eyebrow and their face because the mother was stressed. So that stress was felt by the child. That is why the doctors say, no, that you should stay happy. You're
Yeah.
expecting a child. It has an impact on the child.
Yeah. What about the stance? What does the way I stand tell you about me?
See, I'll start with gait, the
Okay,
way that
walk.
you walk.
Yeah.
So, how many types of walk do you think there are there?
I think unlimited perhaps because, yeah,
Sure. So I'll just go to research because I believe that the science of body language has a lot of scientific research. So I'm going to quote researchers only. So there was a research done and by Desmond Morris, and he said there are 20 styles of gait.
only 20.
Only 20. So when you walk and you come and sit on the chair, so it talks about your mood also. And some people are very excited. They have a bounce also. Of course, there is an element of disease also, that some neurological problem.
Sure.
But otherwise, it just talks about your mood also. If there's a totter, if there's an amble, or if there's a jog, or if it is a long stride. You see the American presidents when they walk, like the way
Yes, Barack
Barack
Obama.
Obama. Yeah. I also like to mention Putin also. So Barack Obama, when he used to walk, so he'd look at the camera like this,
Yes.
and he'd walk and long strides.
Yes.
The reason is you're claiming territory. The longer the stride, the more confident that you look, and the more longer the swing of the arm. So if you're walking like that on the road, people are looking to mug you. They will not attack you quickly
Wow.
because you're confident. But slow steps or small steps and very less of distance between them, that kind of gives an impression this guy is not confident. This guy can be an easy target. People read your body language. So Barack Obama, the next guy I said Putin. So when he walks, he moves only one hand, doesn't move the other hand when he's walking. But he walks stiff, he walks the chin a little up, the other hand doesn't move. The simple reason is there is a gun right there. So he wants you to keep feeling the gun. The gun is there,
Oh.
right? That's a part of his. He was originally a soldier and a spy. He grew up from KGB. So he wants to keep feeling his gun. So the other hand keeps moving. This one doesn't move. So that's there in his gait. So and when people are sad and upset and anxious, so they'll also there's a slow amble to them. So that can also be seen.
So if I want my walk to be attractive, or if I want my walk to be taken seriously, or make a first impression, or just appear confident, how should I walk?
Okay, that depends where you're walking to. That's also very important, the place that you're going to.
Let's say
So
in a party among people.
yeah, if you're going in a party, then see, the slow gets noticed more in terms of not just walking slowly, but your motion should get noticed. That's very important, right? And when you're walking, that there should be certain distance, at least some distance when you're walking, not very small steps that you take, but as they say, Royal Bengal tiger, no, when he walks slowly, that he gets, yeah, he gets noticed. So when you walk like that, people notice you. So that's what you do. And with your eyes up, that's very important. Not looking down, because that just talks about the confidence dipping. So the eyes should be up, they should be swinging in the hands, and the fingers should be open. That's very important. The fingers should be open. And yes, so that's how you walk. Are they doing it as a one off, or that's how they walk usually?
Since we were talking about world leaders, I'd like for you to decode Narendra Modi's body language.
Okay. So, Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, he comes across as very confident. So, as
Yes.
I was mentioning earlier, also, he doesn't head bobble like this. He waits, okay? The head stays steady. And even when he's talking, he doesn't look anywhere else. He's looking at the speaker. And he also does steeple. He does steeple. He also uses finger gesture to talk about, emphasize all high power poses.
And he
That
speaks
is,
slowly.
and he speaks
Yeah.
slowly, and he waits. He's a good orator.
Yes.
He's a good orator. He wants people to absorb. He gives a pause. He waits for them to, take it in. He's in no hurry. I think it has happened for him over a period of time. You eventually get polished, and that was in him naturally also that just came with him. I remember there was a handshake of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Donald Trump. So he tried to do the same thing. Donald Trump, he wanted to get an upper hand, or before he could do that, our Prime Minister got an upper hand on him. So he held his hand like this before he could have an upper hand. So that was an iconic handshake, just surfaced in media. So yeah, another thing is, so when you shake your hand, you don't keep it loose. You know it better. You're from defense, so you don't do a limp handshake or a fish handshake. You don't do that. So there are a few people who just give their hand. He doesn't do that, no. So, and you don't let the other person try to shake your hand off. He doesn't let you do that. So people like Donald Trump, when you try to shake his hand, he'll shake you up, and then if you're trying to get an upper hand on him,
Yeah.
so he'll catch your shoulder hinge. So he'll shake you and then he'll catch you from here, from your shoulder. So you can't move, okay? I've got you. So it's a way of saying that I have an upper hand.
And this is all unconscious or subconscious?
Few things are subconscious, and these leaders also get trained.
Okay.
These leaders also get trained, coached, because everything is about perception management.
Yes.
How you come across, the color of the shirt, the kind of eye contact, the kind of gestures that I make, the kind of pauses that I make.
Colors, can you help us understand this?
Oh yeah. For example, Shri Arvind Kejriwal, he wears, or used to wear a lot of blue shirt. If you remember, he used to wear a lot of. There's a color psychology. The color blue calms your mind and keeps you there, okay, for a longer period than what you would originally intend for.
What about some of the other colors?
The color yellow, it whets your appetite. McDonald's, let's say you're in no mood to have lunch, and then you say McDonald's. What? Oh, I think I just end up having another burger. You think of a lot of food outlets, they have yellow color. That's a way to whet your appetite. Red color.
Yes.
I'd like to mention that the presidents or the leaders, they like to wear a red colored tie.
Yes.
It's a sign of
Donald Trump.
leadership.
Yeah.
Donald Trump,
Yeah.
Barack Obama, even the previous RBI governor. So they wear a red colored tie. It's a sign of leadership. So that tells you that, I'm the one who's calling the shots. I'm the helmsman.
Body language of Virat Kohli.
Oh, Virat Kohli, I'd say that he comes across as very confident and aggressive. Also, he has very vigilant eyes. When he looks, that he keeps scanning his environment, and also you see a lot of aggression when he does that. No, so a lot of aggression also, a lot of confidence also, and vigilant eyes, as we say, and yeah, not easily coyed into a corner.
Okay.
So yeah, and of course, all the traits of a leader that he exhibits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Body language of Rahul Gandhi.
Okay, yeah, body language of Rahul Gandhi. So, taking the transition from the earlier time to this time, no. So earlier, when he was clean shaven and when he used to come, so he used to do a lot of head nodding. Also, there was this interview with Arnab Goswami.
Yeah.
So he's smiling also, in a very shy boy-like manner. That was not going well, and he left his hand loose also. And of course, Arnab shook it hard, and that image of his, of course, you know that how it got portrayed and played along. So he was seen more as a boy, and less of a leader because of how he could. But now, when he comes back with a white beard and a little masculinity to
Yeah.
him, that he comes back, that's more a part of again, another perception management
Okay.
also. Because when you have that beard, you can't catch a lot of micro expressions. It
Yes.
masks. It masks. Also, it is similar to mane of a lion. When you have beard, so your perception in the opposite gender also has that likability also, and you're perceived as more as a male and more as authoritative. Body language has also changed. He also starts talking like that, and also gets a little aggressive and doesn't smile that often now,
Yeah.
which he used to do that.
Yeah.
And not bob his head lot more than what he was doing. Also, it's more in control than what it was earlier. So yeah, conscious work on it.
Okay. So based on the body language, who would you say is a better leader, Modi ji or Rahul Gandhi?
So I think there is no comparison over here. So by leaps and bounds, you see Modi ji exhibiting that confidence from his younger days, that when he was the chief minister and how he was confident, and even when he was listening, he would make you feel that you're the person in the room, and he'd listen to you with a lot of attention, intention, and stay very steady, okay, and yet convey his stance also and his resolve. Now also when he talks, Rahul Gandhi earlier used to look down on the ground. Prime Minister Narendra Modi never saw or
Yeah.
looked at the ground. He'd always look
There's
into
a
the
head
eyes
tilt,
away.
right? Upward tilt.
Yeah.
Chin.
So upward tilted
Yeah.
chin, so a lot of confidence, and he looks right there. So that gives confidence to other people. So that's the kind of leader who's representing us. So that makes other people also feel that we are represented by the right person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
I'd also like to mention the ears. I've not spoken about ears. Speaking to you in left ear can be different to from speaking in right ear, though there's no difference. The left side of the brain runs my right side of the body, and the principle of lateralization. The left brain is more logical and numerical, analytical. So that kind of has a hold on right ear. Not my theory again, David Gibbons, the anthropologist. And the right side, this is very emotional, likes music, likes art, likes raindrops. So
Anything
that
creative.
anything creative connected to my left side of the ear. I want to take pocket money from my dad, and he's not giving me any. So if I go and talk towards his right ear, you say, "Can I have 200 rupees? I want to go out with my friends." Last week you said the same thing, and again you're coming back to me. Go towards his left ear. You know what? I've been wanting to take 200 rupees. I
Super.
don't know if
Yeah.
that'll be okay. My friends have been asking me to come out. So that appeals to his emotional brain because that is lateralization. That has a different impact. So speaking in which ear also determines the kind of message, whether you're making it analytical or you're giving that emotional. I'd
Okay.
also like to mention, I'll reverse it. And what if I'm the parent and I want my child to listen to me?
Yes.
Yeah, and the child is not listening to me. So it's always advisable that you come at the same eye level instead
Same
of
eye level.
same eye level. Now, let's say my daughter is this tall, and I stand up and tell her that you better do this. That doesn't go well because I'm looking down on her.
And you can't pull
Or
rank on children anyway.
yeah, that's true. So when you come down or even lower than what they are, that always goes well.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I've also noticed this with animal because I had this wild cat now who's become like a, outdoor cat slash indoor cat. And when you sit down, suddenly their body language changes. They're much more open. They trust you more. Am I right?
It's similar to uh, if you'd have a child at home and he does this, he or she's just interested, probably you have something for them. Or if I have a puppy at home, he'll also do the same thing
Yes.
because he thinks I might have something for him or he's just curious. So we have the similar behavior as you said.
Yeah.
And the cats are the most expressive. There was a research done that said that the cats have almost 300 facial expressions. 300 facial expressions that the cats had. Though we think that the dogs are more expressive,
Yes.
the cats are way more expressive and they can come up with more facial expressions. So yeah. So when they feel that you're not intimidating
Yeah.
and you are more open, then in that case, people like to come up. Even the primates open up to you.
Okay. So if I want to befriend an animal, I should just come down to their level.
Yes. But keep the spatial zone in mind.
Okay.
So we have a friend over here. So he's in social circle. Had it been if he was very good friend of mine, he would have been more closer.
Yes.
Right? Because he's in my personal circle. If I had my partner away, she would have been way more close. That's intimate zone. Now what happens? People who are dog lovers or cat lovers,
Yeah.
so they think all dogs are the same or all cats are the same. I have a dog at home, so they want to go close to the
Yes.
other dog also, and sometimes the other one ends up scratching them
Yes.
because you invade their spatial territory. So they also have a spatial territory. So you violate that space and you come very quickly close to them, which is a violation of space. So that is why you experience that hostility at times, even from animals, or similarly with humans also. You have a child, and some other uncle comes up and says, "You know what? I'd like to pick up the child," and child doesn't want to be
Yeah.
picked up by him. So what nonsense? Who's this? So the child starts crying. Similar with animals also. So if you want to make friends, so you come down to their eye level, and also keep a certain distance. Let them cover that distance,
Okay. The child or the animal.
child or the animal. If
Okay.
they cover that distance, then it is safe.
Okay. And I think the same would also hold true for, let's say, if I'm on a date.
Yeah.
To be able to maintain a certain space between me and my date will be crucial.
Okay, yes. On a date, it is very important that you maintain a certain distance. Here, I'd like to mention Tom Cruise.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Tom Cruise has that charismatic thing to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you are also a
Yeah,
fan
yeah,
of Tom
yeah.
Cruise. So when he talks to people and he's seeing you for the first time, he has no problem in extending his arm and touching the other person, which we usually don't do that. That's a part of his physical expansion thing. So he wants to say that my territory is more than me. The other person is also part of my territory. So whether it be any other host, he just extend and he just tap over here. Immediate tapping, oxytocin generation, because there's a touch involved in it. You don't do that in first time dates. But he's not going on a date, but he do it to anyone for all the shows that you see. And so that kind of immediately connects. There's an oxytocin generation, but otherwise you keep that social distance, as you said, on a date. And there are a lot of cues that comes when you're sitting across. You get to know if the other person is into the conversation or is not into the conversation, and you know that if it's going to last or not.
I'm coming to the exciting part. This was suggested by you, so thank you so much for that. Please help us decode the secret language of love. To begin with, we're living in a world of apps. If I'm going out on a date, what are some of the green flags and the red flags? So green flags, matlab, how do I know that that person is attracted to me? What are some of the signs of flirting? How do I know the person's not attracted to me or is just waiting for the date to get over? We'd love to know.
Okay, sure. So let's start with green flags. Okay. The other person comes and talks to you and starts doing things almost at the same time as what you're doing. As I said, isopraxism. And this is subconscious. Nobody thinks, right? The other thing is, as I said, keeping very less of objects in between. And if there are, then they're trying to remove them. Riveted eye contact, which is also called as a romancer or a riveted contact, wherein they keep maintaining a good eye contact. There is also self grooming. If there's a man, he'll try to groom his hair.
Yes.
If there's a woman, she'll try to make her hair or adjust something. So that's also a way to preen themselves in that moment. So that's also a way of showing that, I'm taking interest. And keeping your phones aside is also an indicator that, you are my priority right now. So I'm not paying attention to that. I was talking about the neck tilt. It's a good indicator that the person is taking an interest, whether it be a puppy, whether it be a human, or whether it be a cat. Good sign of interest. Okay. The feet under the table coming towards you. That's another good indicator. We usually don't look underneath the
Yes,
table.
yeah.
So you don't have to, but
Yeah.
you'll feel it. The feet are getting withdrawn. The person just wants to make an exit. The feet are coming towards you. There's a riveted eye contact. So that'll tell you that this person is taking an interest, is using similar language to what you're doing. That's called verbal echo. Verbal echo is you start picking up the last three words of the other person and start repeating it.
What about the arms? Like I keep the arms on the table versus keeping the arms down below on my lap.
Let's say that the arms were on my lap earlier, the conversations happen, and then my arms start coming in front. That's a good sign of interest because it's coming towards the other person. So that's a sign of interest. It is getting extended. But let's say the arms were there on the table and I see automatically the other person, then immediately I withdraw my hands.
Okay.
So that is a sign of bringing it closer to me. So a little stress. But then the other person makes you feel comfortable. Then again, the hands come back.
Okay.
So it's a good sign, right? The distance between the fingers, that's also a good indicator. There's confidence coming and the fingers are not curling in. Red flags. The guy is talking, boisterous and too pompous, and the girl starts doing this. I'm sure you've seen people doing this.
Yes.
So they start touching their ears. That's a way of ear blocking, not liking what the other person is saying. So the person, if they're wearing earrings, they start touching their earrings. So way of saying, I'm not liking what you're saying. Goes for both the genders. Ear blocking, eye blocking. Okay. And they start putting objects in between. You'll see compression in them. Also, they'll start angling away from the person. So it'll not be like towards. As I said, three T's, the top, the torso, and the toes. So they'll not be all angled. So it'll be slightly towards the door, looking for an exit. How do I make an exit? So they'll be looking for that. The responses will not be proper. So that you'll get to see. There'll be too much of the phone. The phone is an anxiety pacifier. When you were a child, you give soothers to baby. Now you're an adult, you can't take a soother, so you take your phone. You take your phone. You start doing something on your phone, not a good indicator when you're on a date, and that too in the early times of it. And now the listening, very important. I'd say more than 50% of people cannot listen.
Yes.
They just want to talk about themselves.
Yes.
The way I've been doing. They just want to talk about themselves.
Okay. Any other love language?
Smile.
Okay.
See, you smiled at the very prompt of it. You'll get to know if the other person is genuinely smiling.
Yes.
If I'd have to ask you, how do you think that the person is genuinely smiling or not? How do you get to know that?
It doesn't reach the eye.
Excellent. So in the layman's
Minus, I mean, given the fact that there's no Botox, because these days, with celebs, you see a lot of that, right? They're smiling, but their face is Botox, so you don't get to know. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
a lot of us don't get Botox though. So, but yeah, you've nailed it. The corner of the eyes will get wrinkled. So that's called in the layman's language crow's feet
Yes.
or the orbicularis oculi. So this will have wrinkles and it'll take a build up of 3 seconds. So it'll come gradually and it'll fade gradually.
Not.
Not like this, welcome to so and
Yeah.
so airlines. We're
Yeah.
happy to have
Yeah.
you. We're happy to have you see go. So yeah, not like that. So that's a social smile. So there was a research done and it was said that there are 19 types of smile, but only 6 are for happiness. The remaining other 13 are sorrow, grief, submissiveness, anger. Those are masking smiles. So I'm just trying to mask my situation with a smile. So that is the reason. Otherwise, only 6 types of them are actually genuinely smiling.
Okay.
Think of it, no? When there's a child at home, I think I must have mentioned that. Why aren't you smiling?
Yeah.
Yeah, smile. Smile. Your cousins are coming over.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of submissiveness. So people at times smile to accommodate you in their territory. So now they're very happy to see you.
Okay.
Smile, you'll see a genuine smile on their face. And they'll also see very synchronous body language. Whatever that you're doing, if I'm trying to adjust, they'll also try to adjust. You want to test
Yeah.
if the other person is on the same tangent, try to make a move. See if the other person is picking it up and also trying to do the same thing.
Oh.
Yeah,
That will show that they are in sync with me.
yeah, you're just testing the waters, if it is going in the right direction or not. So that can also help you.
Okay. All right. How do I cultivate my body language so as to appeal to the opposite sex or same sex if I'm, a gay or lesbian?
Okay, sure. So there has to be some repose, some calm in your stance that you have or you are in stock of the situation. The other thing is there's a 3 second pause. When somebody says, you look at the person, but don't respond immediately. Take a 3 second pause. But you keep looking at the person, don't break that eye contact. And then you talk. But the rate of speech should be slow. I'll mention an FBI negotiator. He was, do you know? No. Okay. Okay. So,
Go ahead.
okay. So there was an FBI hostage negotiator, Chris Voss, and he says if you want really people to listen to you, then there has to be a late night FM DJ voice, which is a downward inflection. Late night FM DJ voice, wherein you talk, or you don't talk like this, but you talk like this. It's like a late night FM jockey talking to you. Are you depressed in life? Do you need someone to talk to you? I'm here on the radio. That's how they talk now at the late night shows.
Yes.
I'm here to listen to you. That always works excellently in relationships, in negotiations, because it is not loud, it is not intimidating, and it's a downward inflection. Late
Okay.
night FM DJ voice. It works in
Can you
host.
mimic that so as to,
Yeah.
give a good example?
So,
And this, what you'll be doing right now, will help me in negotiations. So if I'm
yeah.
buying a property, it'll help me maybe better negotiate. Uh, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
things of that nature. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, even in difficult situations with the partner, no?
Yeah.
Usually what happens, things are not going well.
Yeah.
Immediately the volume comes up.
Yes. No?
Nobody listens. As in,
Yes. Yeah.
so instead of that, I'm saying, what, I'm listening to you. So you say, what, I'm listening to you. The voice pitch has to fall. It has to go on a downward inflection. So I'm here for you. The rate of speech goes slow and the inflection keeps falling, right? You have to make a conscious effort. So when you do that, it has a calming effect on the brain of the other person. So for example, you're very stressed and I say, calm down, calm down.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
calms down.
absolutely. It irritates the other person
Arey, what
rather. Yeah.
nonsense. Why are you asking me to calm down? Look at yourself. So, another way of doing it, instead of asking him or her to calm down, you take long exhales. The other person is on the same tangent, he or she will pick up and they'll also take long exhales. That, in a way, will communicate to the brain, okay, calm down, calm down.
Okay.
So, you pick that subconscious signal.
Okay. So I can also sort of intervene. I can negotiate a fight.
Yeah.
If I'm fighting with my partner, then what, instead of raising my voice or increasing the pace of my communication, I slow down and I
Yeah, do a
take deeper
downward
breaths.
inflection.
Okay.
This research was given by Chris Voss from FBI hostage negotiation.
Okay.
He was a specialist, and he also said that do verbal mirroring. You tell me you had a difficult day yesterday. So what I'll do is I'll just take your last 3 words. Difficult day yesterday. I never asked you a question, but it looked like a question because the last word was on an upward tone. You'd say, yeah, you know what? I met this friend of mine. I wasn't good. It didn't go the way I was expecting it. So you'll keep talking. All you have to do is just pick up the last 3 words, leave the last one on upward note. Verbal mirroring.
Okay. Okay. How do I know if my partner is cheating on me or not?
There was this series, no, that on Netflix that came. There was a very popular series, no? It was like
Tinder
Swindler.
Swindler. Yeah.
Tinder Swindler.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tinder Swindler. And even when he was caught, or when he was caught in that action, that still people did not believe because he had that charm to him. So you see, if he or she is giving you precise answers. For example, where did you park your car yesterday? Usually I park at C5. So I tell you C5. I'll tell you, "Arey, the same spot where I park every day." But I never gave you the answer.
Yes.
I never give you the answer. So for people who do not give precise answers, okay, either it is a yes or a no. Anything in between is a gray area. So those who give gray areas response. Second is you don't have a lot of insider information. Insider is their personal information about them, right? And they try to conceal it as much as possible. So it's not a good sign. How do you feel that the relationship is falling apart?
Yeah.
Is you'll see a lot of contempt, for your partner. No respect, no reverence for your partner. Lot of stonewalling. They'll come up to you, but you don't listen. Lot of defense coming up, right? And respect. Once respect crumbles, then Rome crumbles.
Yeah.
So contempt is one. There's a lot of, I told you, eye blocking, ear blocking, and you'll see the physical distance between them increasing. They'll no longer be together. They'll be sleeping in the opposite directions, right? You had something.
And I have a question on sleeping directions because I had that in. What does sleeping directions tell you about a person?
Well, I am just talking to people who are awake and, I'm analyzing those
Yeah.
only.
But sleeping positions, do they exhibit? I'm sure there's a body language to the
I'll tell
sleeping
you only
positions.
for one
Yeah.
that I know,
Yeah.
which is the fetal position.
Yes.
When you are in an extreme duress,
Yeah.
a lot of stress goes through you. A lot of us end up sleeping in fetal position. You end up sleeping like that because it gives you that comfort that when you were there as a fetus, that's how you were sleeping. So that brings you back to that emotional regression to give you that comfort. So yeah, but for sleeping, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that if the partners are sleeping in opposite directions, not because of snoring, but because of other reasons, there are partners who sleep in different directions because of snoring, but because of the fight and the fallout that has happened, you will see that the physical distance will keep increasing, and there'll be time they'll go into different rooms. And
Yes.
I'll also tell you, this doesn't happen overnight. It is a slow build up, but we miss the early signs of it. If the other person is not coming back quickly, it's not going to go well, and is always waiting for the other person to come up and make amends. It won't survive long because it has to be a two-way traffic.
Okay.
Lopsided doesn't thrive.
Because the girls often wait for the guys to come up and,
Yeah.
manow them, pacify them. That's not a good way.
Yeah, see, actually, the brain is different.
Yeah. Correct.
The male and female brain wiring is different. I
Yeah.
wish somebody would teach them before marriage.
Yeah.
There's difference. Uh, the female brain would like a lot of attention and would want to talk about a lot of things that are emotional. The male would listen, but would not be able to give the kind of attention that they are looking for. But that
Correct.
doesn't mean that they are not. But they come across as somebody who is just trying to avert the situation. So it's just the brain difference, right? So there was a book written by two people who are body language experts, Barbara Pease and Alan Pease, Why Men Lie and Women Cry. So that's what he said. He said the men keep lying, the women keep crying. It's just that they don't understand each other throughout the life. So that's one of the problems. But there's a more of wiring difference.
There is so much speculation between some celebrities. Either they're in love or they're getting a divorce. So I want to ask you about whether it's true or false based on their body language. The rumors are that they're getting a divorce, they're splitting up. What can you say on the basis of their body language? Abhishek and Aishwarya's body language, what do you make of it?
There was one video that I saw, and if I remember, that they had gone for Aradhya's performance, Abhishek's
Yes.
daughter,
Yes.
and they'd gone in the. I think there was some unpleasant conversation that happened. The moment that unpleasant conversation happened, both of them turned in opposite directions. She turned over here, he turned over here. But that was very brief to say that they did not have something common to share, and they just immediately moved in that opposite direction. So it's like saying that you see the tip of the iceberg and say that how deep is it. So it'll be difficult, but yeah, there was some difference in opinion that could be seen right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you think something could be fishy there
there in
There.
that moment.
in that moment?
In
Okay.
that moment, yes. So it is said that in stress, women tend and befriend.
Okay.
In stressful situation, it is usually the tigress who comes and protects their children. The
Correct.
tiger,
Yes.
right? So, but in stressful situations, males either they fight, flight, run away,
Yeah.
or they get frozen. Okay. Females tend and befriend, but the male right now is also tending and befriending, which you
Yes.
said,
Yes.
which was a theory of Shelley Taylor. So they're also tending and befriending because they've learned with the new normal coming in that this too can happen with the gender dynamics getting swapped. So with especially with this whole concept of the equality and both the genders being equally responsible for the household, I don't see a lot of hitch, especially in metropolitans, to say that to swap the role. As long as you're working, you're taking care of it. Even in my own family, I have that. So you're here and your partner is going and you're working from home and yet you're taking care of the children. So that is also a new normal.
Okay. 4 signs that my partner loves me.
Okay. 4 signs that a partner loves you. That whenever things don't go right, the partner is quick to come back and say sorry and try to make amends. So it doesn't take a lot of time, right? And second, makes an effort to listen to you, especially if it is a male, because even if they want to, their attention span is so bifurcated.
Okay.
So bifurcated. So they're listening to you and they also remember what you like. That's very important, right? Because the girls remember the dates, first time they met, the birthday. Males forget their own.
True that.
So yeah, so they won't remember. So if they really value that, they'll start remembering few things that their partner cherishes. So that's a good sign. And fourth is they start doing little things in everyday life. It's not about doing a big gesture, taking somebody out on a cruise or something, but on every day you do little gestures. Like it is winters right now, and you keep hot water for your partner in morning so that you can brush and get fresh. That in itself also speaks for itself.
Okay.
I believe love is an action, no, not in words.
Correct.
So that's what,
Absolutely.
yeah. The definition of emotion
Yeah.
has been taken from the Latin word, which means emovere, which means something gets stirred inside you. Something has to get stirred in your partner. And if that stirring is happening, so your relationship will continue or sustain.
I have a question regarding sex driven marriages versus sexless marriages. I'm assuming that would also come under the ambit of body language. It is said that a lot of couples who, are not sexually active, there are greater chances of divorce or separateness versus couples where, who are sort of sexually more active. Do you agree with that as a body language therapist?
Okay, all right. Sure. So I'll give you a view from the time that a child is born. So the child has the first attraction with the mother because the mother holds the face like this of a child and makes a strong eye contact. That's called on face. On face is en, on face. And that's the first romance are happening. Why? Because there's touch involved, right? So the more touch that is involved, there is more of oxytocin, there is more of bonding happening. But if there is no touch involved, you'll not only feel the physical distance, you'll also feel that emotional distance because then you just become roommates or the co-residents of a house. The physical intimacy makes a lot of difference. Also, it is said that for the partners there's a lot of feet interaction also that happens because that also talks about their interest. I'm sure you've seen partners posting pictures of a beach with both their feet
Yes.
on the beach and
Yes.
pointing towards each other. That's also a sign of interest. So with sexless marriage, a lot of people survive like that also. It doesn't just crumble like this, but the emotions eventually
Okay.
dwindle and they fade. So that gets very difficult. So it's more of a haul then. So yeah, no oxytocin happening, no emotion happening. I'd also tell you a lot of love that happens in the younger days. It's more of infatuation that happens. So there's a concept called limerence. So it's just the surge of chemicals. There's an oxytocin coming up, there's dopamine coming up, there's phenylethyl coming up. But after that, what happens? When it drops, where is that attraction? And where is that connection? That is why very quickly the relationships keep changing
Okay.
because of the chemical thing.
With sexless and sex driven marriages, with a lot of our parents, for example, long marriages which have lasted a very long time, you will see that your sexual contact or sexual intercourse keeps going down, but that doesn't mean the love dwindles. In fact, I think the longer the marriage with our parents, the bond becomes more stronger, don't you think?
Or, this is one of my favorite. How much do we know about our parents? I always ask this to everyone. The only thing that we know about our parents is what they've told us.
Yes.
We don't go and start investigating about the parents' life, trying to find. And probably one of the parents is quite an introvert, doesn't talk much. So whatever that we know is a reflection of what they've told us. So we
Or
really
what
don't
we've
know. Or
observed.
what we've observed,
Yeah.
which is very less because
Yeah.
we're more consumed in our lives these days. So we really don't know what transpired emotionally over a period of time. And we'd like to assume that everything is all sacrosanct or hunky dory. However, there's a lot more.
Okay.
There's a lot more. Now we are talking a lot more about these things because, of course, the digital media and the social media. But I'd like to assume that things are all good between the parents. It does make a lot of difference. Even if there's no contact, the emotions, they are all working biologically. All biologically. Uh, which is your favorite food?
Biryani.
Okay. So the very thought of biryani, that just made you smile. Nobody's offering you biryani right now, and nobody's offering me biryani right now, but you're happy about it. Because there's dopamine that just went through your brain, and you know that. It's all biological. Whatever that's happening is all chemical, biological. So there has to be some connection that's happening for those chemicals to come and work. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. What are some of the body language signs that one can exhibit during the act of sex?
During the act of sex. Okay. See, I'd say the feet, of course, coming, the footsie, they say, So that coming in and a lot of eye contact.
Okay.
Lot of eye contact. That is why it is called romancer. Also, I was talking about the spatial zone. So there's a lot of intimate zone also, no? So there's a lot of touching also, a lot of eye contact also, a lot of feet contact also. So these things make a lot of difference, and it makes the other partner felt also acknowledged. Makes them feel special that you just have your eyes for them.
Okay.
That's what. I don't want to take it to serial killers, but
I would love to hear
yeah.
about that. But
So
yeah.
Ted Bundy,
Yeah.
he killed more than 30 women, and he would chop their head off and keep it as a trophy in the cupboard. He was a very charming man.
Yeah. He
So
was a necrophiliac
yeah,
as
he
well.
was also a
Yeah.
necrophiliac.
Necrophilia is having sex with the dead bodies
Having
for the
sex with a
viewers.
dead
Yeah.
body, yeah. If he'd sit in a bar or he'd go and meet someone, so he'd always have a tilted neck. He'd keep looking at you, never take his eyes off, and you'd feel special. This guy has eyes for me, and
Yeah.
what a charming man. Would always fall for his charm. So that was the way that he'd pull people. Okay, and if he'd catch you on the university road, so he'll come with a sling. My arm is broken. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Can you help me with
This
the
was in Lake
books?
Samamish, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Seattle.
okay,
Yeah.
you
Oh, I'm
yeah.
a thorough Ted Bundy, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he'd ask, "Can you help me
Yeah.
with the books?" And
Yeah.
put them in the car, and there's no latch inside the car door.
Yeah. And a crowbar
And
and
yeah,
he
and then
hits
you
you.
hit the crowbar, and
Yeah.
the person is gone. He was charming. He was charming. That's what you do. You really want the other person to, get pulled towards you. So slight neck tilt, strong eye contact, and not getting distracted.
Okay.
Keeping your distractions away.
Okay.
Feet towards them.
Okay. So feet, eye contact, and you said the neck tilt.
The neck tilts.
Neck tilt. Yeah.
There's the smile. Smile
Smile.
is very contagious.
Okay.
Some people can smile, unlike me. So I usually don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
usually don't.
I
My
noticed
wife,
that about you.
yeah, my wife
Yeah.
thought earlier that what's wrong with him. He's
Yeah.
hardly smiling. Later on, she understood. Okay, fine, he's okay. So yeah, I don't smile, but a lot of people smile, and I envy that. So that just pulls people. That's a natural puller.
Okay. Talking about psychopath, I'd love to come to my favorite segment, which is psychopathology, criminal behavior. You have trained police academies, you've helped the police nab killers and criminals. So, getting into your domain on criminal and body language, I would want to start with my favorite, which is psychopathology. What are some of the signs of a psychopath and a sociopath? And I also know that a lot of people who are not criminals could have psychopathic and sociopathic tendencies. Like I remember I studied psychology in the 12th standard. A lot of doctors, for example, have this. A lot of leaders, CEOs may have this. So can you please talk about that in terms of body language?
Everybody has a tendency. It's just that there's a lot of nature and nurture that we keep talking about. No, in psychopathic tendencies, as Netflix portrays, we don't have a lot of data for Indian psychopaths, but we still have. There's no feeling of remorse. There's no feeling of emotion. They can mimic your emotions, but they not have their own. I can't feel anything. The size of amygdala
Okay.
can be smaller for the part of the emotional brain or the limbic brain, and they can mimic you. And because they don't feel pain or stress the way that you do, you might just get pulled. People like Ted Bundy, they were very good with mimicking, or Charles Shobraj, but they were excellent people enticers. That they can totally entice you with the body language. As I said, there was a riveted eye contact, and they will listen to you. They'll make you feel you're the only person in the room. They'll mimic your emotions. That's what you want, right? You want somebody to have the same emotion that you're experiencing. They'll mimic that, and you'll feel you heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd say the other person is not listening to me. And but inside, there's all shallow. There's nothing. They can't really feel. They can't really do. Whether it be Ted Bundy, whether it be Charles Shobraj, whether it be Edmund Kemper who cut his own mother. They usually start off with the cats and dogs.
Yeah.
So they start cutting them up. if you have a cat and dog, and they'd love to start fire wherever that's possible, the pyromania. Okay, I'm talking of McDonald's triad. McDonald's triad said they're the precursors to somebody becoming a psychopath. And the
Okay.
third thing is bedwetting, enuresis. It comes back. I was bedwetting when I was 1 or 2 years old. All of a sudden, at the age of 11, 12 years, I've started bedwetting again. That is because of emotional regression. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, some trauma, some precursors. That's what a lot of psychopaths go through. Lot of male or female. They go through it. They don't experience a lot of emotions. Gavit sisters. Have you heard of Gavit
No.
sisters? From Maharashtra. They were the first ones to be given capital punishment after independence
Okay.
of India. They never got capital punishment. Later on, it was commuted to life term. Both the daughters learned how to commit the crime from their mother. The mother taught how to steal, and they also accidentally discovered that, if you have a child next to you and you're going to commit a robbery, she was caught in a temple. But the child was right there. She said, "How can I be a thief? I have my child right over here." They said, "Ah, yeah, she's right. How can a mother be a thief?" And they let her go, and she learned. If you have a child next to you, nobody will suspect you, and you can commit your crime. That's how they picked up. So they started committing crimes with children. They killed 5 children or so, and this crime just went on. So irrespective of the gender, there is no emotion, there is no remorse. They'll mimic you, and they'll not blink much. I don't know.
Okay.
So they'll keep looking at you. So yeah.
Half the novels that are written, or whatever, the Mills and Boons and I don't know, 50 Shades, I don't know, but whatever, you have a hero which is quite similar to this. I mean, minus the feeling the hollow bit, the inner hollow bit, but it's like, making eye contact, not moving, sort of. Women are sort of sold into that kind of literature as well. So that's another.
It's like a classic fairy tale, no?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
yeah.
classic
And
fairy tale.
I remember talking about Ted Bundy. It was said that when he was defending himself, right? I think this is everyone knows this, that he was so full of himself that he wanted to be his own lawyer, and he said, "There's no one better than me." And in the courtroom, you had a flurry of women who would come just to see him and write thousands of letters, send their nudes to him.
Yeah. These people don't know when to stop their charm, okay? They want to press that charm button at everyone, or the like switch, okay? So they'll press the like switch at everyone. Ted Bundy,
Yeah,
he dressed up as an attorney.
yeah,
He came to the room and he wanted to hog the limelight even when he knew he was on the capital punishment.
yeah,
Even the judge
yeah,
who was giving him the final punishment or the final verdict, he said that, I wish, because he did law,
yeah,
I wish, I could see you practice one day, young man. I'm sad to see you go like that. And you're a handsome young man. He was also appreciative of him, despite the fact this guy was about to go for the electric chair. So he had that charm running. He thrived on it. And for all the women who came in, the similar thing happened in India for Charles Shobraj. A lot of women came to see, a lot of professors from different universities came to see Charles Shobraj. The kind of perfumes that he would wear, there's a book called Black Warrant by Sunil Gupta, and he mentions that how Charles Shobraj had that enigmatic thing to him. He was good looking, he could speak well, and he would apply a lot of perfume when he'd go out. Pulls people, speaks less, and gives them that attention. So he did the same thing. He ended up marrying a young girl, and he's still alive.
yeah,
Yeah, he's still
yeah,
alive.
yeah. Okay. There are psychopaths and sociopaths everywhere, right? Around us in all professions. What are two, three signs that they could exhibit? So one you've said is the head tilt. One is not making enough eye contact. What would be the third?
See, as I said, they try to make too much of eye contact, and but again, there'll be a lot more than this.
Okay.
Not just with body language that
Yeah.
you can really gauge that
Yeah.
this person is a psychopath, because that'll just tell you there's something off. There's something off about this person. But what is it? That you need to talk more and see. With sociopath, this person would have that similar tendency, not feeling emotions. They can trample on your feelings. Even for Anna Sorokin or Anna Delvey, you saw that show?
No.
Yeah, so she said, "I'm a German heiress." She came to New York. She got a lot of donations, and she fleeced a lot of people. She got arrested. She became more popular after getting arrested. And she says, "This is Anna 2.0 who's come after arrest." So that also happens. People thrive on it. All kind of attention that they get. Sociopath, they not kill, but they not feel. They not feel, like we were talking of Elizabeth Holmes.
Correct.
She started a company called Theranos.
Yeah.
So she said with one blood drop, you can do 100 blood tests.
Yeah.
That was the claim. However, that was nowhere close. But she crafted her image or the perception management very carefully. Okay, this is my question to you. If I wear a black polo neck, which iconic figure would you remember?
Elizabeth Holmes. Maybe Steve Jobs?
Excellent.
Yeah.
She was mimicking Steve Jobs. So she wore the same turtleneck or the polo neck. She would drive the same car. Okay. She changed the modulation of her voice She would make a steady eye contact, not give up. Everything that she had to make you feel you're the only one in the room. Sociopath, she couldn't feel emotions, nothing at all. She did a multi-million-dollar scam. She got arrested and whatnot, but they'd not kill. They'd not kill, but they'd not feel the tangent of emotions also the way that you're feeling it. Again, it's all hollow, right? But it's not necessary that all psychopaths go and kill also. That's also not necessary. Have you seen Mindhunters?
No.
You should if you're into serial killers.
Okay.
So the term serial killer was given by an FBI profiler called Robert K. Ressler. So he said that me and my partner, John Douglas, we were on the verge of becoming a killer in this whole process of hunting these killers down. Because if you really want to be a good investigator, you have to think like a criminal. And when you start thinking like that, so you almost tread down the same path. You're not doing it, but in your mind, you are thinking like that. So he said we were on the verge of it, but we never did. So there's a book he wrote, he calls Whoever Fights Monsters. And there's a very popular line from German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he doesn't become one. So that also happens.
Some of the body language signs of a criminal. How do I detect this person is a criminal?
One size does not fit all.
Sure.
Yeah.
But generically speaking.
Generically speaking, let's see, again, I'll have to say that I'll have to baseline the person. But if the other person is giving me too many stress cues,
Yeah.
first I'll see if this is not anxious individual. Because if I see anxious individual, then I'll give that white coat syndrome to him. But otherwise, he'll give me a lot of blocking signals, right? Or on the contrary, he'll try to watch me more. He'll do a lot of threat tracking. Is he believing me? He'll try to look at me from the corner of his eye. So that he'll do. Another thing is he'll try to talk too sweet to me.
Okay.
Third, I'm just telling you a few tactics that these people do. Question reversal. You say, where were you yesterday? And I'm thinking, oh goodness, why did she ask me that? And I say, where was I yesterday? You know that. In the meantime, I bought some time for myself. So where were you yesterday? That's called question reversal. Response latency. Taking a lot of time in responding to a question.
Okay.
That's called response latency. You remember you drove till that point, the CCTV has your footage? Yes. What happened after that? My memory
Okay.
fails me. So that, you see that there's a deliberate effort on. Sometimes because of stress and anxiety, the memory just becomes fuzzy.
Yeah.
So you always have to give that element of
Doubt.
to
Yeah.
them. But otherwise, a lot of people do that. I've seen deliberately. I can't recall.
Okay.
What do? The memory always plays tricks on you.
Okay. How do I know if an individual is being domestically abused, both for men or for women?
Okay, you'll see a deviation from the baseline. That is
Okay.
number one. Let's say the person was very talkative earlier. Now all of a sudden they stop talking. They're more withdrawn, right? They're no longer making an eye contact. The eye is towards the floor. Or sometimes you see talking to people and they're just zoned out because they're just looking somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you say, hey, you know what? I'm talking to you because they're somewhere else. They're just zoning out every now and then. Also, I've seen in juveniles cuts on the wrist.
Yeah.
Why do you think they cut? They don't cut it over here where their life can get impacted. But I'm just talking of those who are also, in a mentally impacted situation and they're cutting their hands over here. So you see a lot of cuts. So, for example, I'm trying to walk outside this door and I'm not looking up and I bump into the door. Oh, my head starts hurting. I'll forget everything else.
Correct.
My head starts hurting. So when they cut themselves up, when the blood starts coming, they forget all the problems for that period. And they're only focused on the pain and the blood. So it's a very sad situation.
Yeah.
That's why they cut themselves up. So you'll see those cuts. It's also a sign of frustration, anxiety, and stress. They do that. I'd like to check their arms if anything of
Okay.
that sort is there.
Okay. Body language sign exhibited by terrorists.
Okay.
Some one or two common ones.
I'll just give you an example of this
Yeah.
Bengaluru cafe thing, no? Usually what they do is so that they don't get captured in the camera. Cap and a mask.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. Okay. You see the rest of the people. What if there's a COVID wave? That's okay. Then that discount is given. Nobody's doing. But there's one person that you see who's wearing a cap and is also wearing a mask. That's definitely one of the reasons that they're trying to conceal their identity. It should be a POI, person of interest.
I want some insights from you regarding perception management. So, what is perception management?
Uh, Perception management is planting your image in the mind of the other person. That how you'd like to be perceived as.
Okay.
How do you want them to see you as? So that's perception management. Leaders like Angela Merkel or Donald Trump, or they want to come across as somebody who's calling the shots and they're authoritative. You see them doing a lot of
Yeah.
steepling.
Okay.
That's a part of perception management. I'm the one who's calling the shots over here. So, or there have been times that Arvind Kejriwal exposes a lot of his risks. That's a sign of open conversation.
Okay.
See, that is why when you cut your wrist over here, so immediately your life gets threatened. It's the most vulnerable area. If you are really taking an interest in the other person, the wrist will open up. Okay,
Okay.
you can expose your wrist. Gandhi ji, when he used to sit and talk, he'd sit like this with both his hands like this, the wrists were exposed. That also tells the other person, I'm vulnerable and yet I'm open to you. That happens.
Okay. Can body language determine my success at work?
Oh, yeah, part of perception. So, let's say you don't know much. You
Yeah.
go and sit in the meeting,
Yeah.
right? Hey, you remember that movie? Oh, this fellow Leonardo DiCaprio was there, no? Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
Catch Me If You Can, you know. So he goes, it's based on a real life FBI agent. So he goes and he pretends that he knows, and he's standing over there, and there's a team of surgeons, and he's not a surgeon. And they say, Doctor, what do you think we should do? He says, What do you think we should do? He said, Sir, I think we should cut this bone and then we. Good. What do you think? He'd just pass it on to them and they'd say, he's testing our knowledge. He's the HOD. They ended up doing. So the kind of image that you drop on the other person will make you get perceived as infallible or somebody who's just weakling in the system. So that's very important, how you are perceived. So that's very important. Putin does a lot of great work on that part. He keeps his image very intact. You can't really come close that way. There's a very famous fighter, MMA fighter, Connor.
Okay.
So he comes close to, probably if you have a video, then
Yeah.
probably we can
Yeah. We'll put that up.
juxtapose.
Yeah.
So he comes and Putin is very appreciative of him. Putin puts an arm around him. Oh, Connor is very happy. He gets more confident. Putin has come, so he does this. So, okay. Then O'Connor tries to put his arm around Putin. Immediately, the bodyguards come and say, Put your hand down. So then he becomes like this. And then he says, Okay, now you can put your arm up. Then he does this. He's not able to bring his arm up because he gets really intimidated. So that macho image of Putin, he'd like to keep it intact. The perception management.
Okay. What are 3 body language signs where I can have better influence on people?
More persuasive and influential. Yeah, okay, sure. The 3-second pause, whatever the person says, you take a 3-second pause to give your answers and say it at a slower rate of speech.
Okay.
Second, the leaders speak less. So you listen more and you speak less. And whatever that you say has to be conveyed in very few words. For all the top people that I've met till now, they convey a lot through the minimum words as possible. Keeping it very brief. They like to keep it brief. So say in brief, smile less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's imagine a meeting, okay? There's a meeting and there's the CEO, and a lot of people come around. And whatever that he says, who's trying to smile more? The employees, because they're trying to appease him, right? He smiles less, right? Because he comes across as favorable. You want to keep that image, so you smile less. How many times do you see Elon Musk smiling?
Yeah.
You want to keep that image intact, right? So smile less, but you do smile. The second thing is you listen more, which I've already said, that you should listen more. And also, you can mimic whatever gestures that the other person is
Use
doing.
more hand gestures.
Yeah, hand gestures also, and a little expansive gestures, more territorial gestures, no? Bigger gestures, the way Donald Trump does, right? So that gives the image that there is something larger than life happening, or we're working on a big project. Imagine I say, we're working on a big project. So what nonsense? What is he working on? So yeah, so that also gives an image to the other person that, there's something more. And yeah, territorial, feet, hand, expansive.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just mentioned a while back that smile is important to be likable.
Yeah.
But now you're saying the converse of that.
That is more of a social interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, the personal interactions. But there's a body language of day-to-day interaction. There's a body language of the
Okay.
official or corporate interactions. So that's different.
Okay.
The context of the situation
This is
changes.
different.
I'll
Okay.
tell you.
Yeah.
So if I do this,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
That I am trying to block my emotion.
That's what we say, right?
Yeah.
That's what we say. Oh, I'm trying to block the other person's opinion.
Yeah.
But no, I'm listening to you, right? Now, the timing of the gesture. A lot of people who've cracked NEET, students from popular or medical coaching agencies. Once they've cracked, they're standing like this.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're blocking someone, but they're just happy. Or the temperature is too low. I'll start doing this. I'm feeling cold. The context of the situation matters, right? but you're causing me too much of stress. I'm too distressed by whatever that you're saying. The hands will get locked over here on the upper chest. Okay. The harder the question, the harder the lock. Okay. That's called a boa constrictor. Boa is, of course, a snake and it coils around you and snuffs your life out. That's what this one is. Somebody's asking you difficult questions, all of a sudden the hands get locked, the hard lock, and they're not opening up, the stress has started building up. And you'll also see torso breathing. So when you're comfortable, you breathe through your, through your abdomen or belly like a child. But when you're stressed, you'll see shoulders moving up and down rapidly. That's torso breathing. You can also figure out from the top button. It'll keep rapidly expanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can I appear charismatic or magnetic without using words and just with body language?
Okay. So even if you are sitting at a distance and with your, two fingers like this or like this, and you're watching with slightly canted neck or tilted neck, with a steady eye contact, will get you noticed because the other person knows that you are paying attention of all the people and you're not distracted. Your attention is your currency.
Okay.
So if you give that currency to someone else, you get noticed because you're giving that undivided attention. Have you noticed if you're traveling in a metro or in a public transport and somebody's looking at you and you turn around, the person is looking at you and you don't know how you get to know? Have you ever experienced that?
Yes.
Yeah, because somebody's giving you attention. When somebody gives you attention, it gets noticed. You give attention to that person, you will be noticed in that room, right? But high power poses, especially for corporate communication, little expansive, like this. So that gets a little more noticed in comparison to, my hands coming in together. So this person feels, oh, this person doesn't look confident.
Okay.
As you said, the first 7 seconds of forming the right impression.
Yeah. So I had that question. Give me 2 tips of forming a good first impression.
So you smile
Yeah.
with the eyebrows up.
Like this.
Like this.
Oh.
Okay, so that's called a flash eyebrow smile. Flash eyebrow. You flash your eyebrows and you smile. So that's there was a theory that was given by an FBI investigator. He says when you go and meet someone, you flash smile. He wrote a book called Like Switch. How do you press the like button in the other person's
Yeah.
ears? You're a likable person. So slight neck tilt. You mirror the other person's body language, and whatever moves that you do, they have to be a little slow. So, for example, if I immediately pick up the glass, start drinking good, 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 now that's absurd. But you take your time and you keep it, that's more graceful, and then you have something.
I've seen a lot of leaders, charismatic, whether it is Sadhguru, he's my guru, whether it was Narendra Modi, their movements are very conscious, they look at you and then they'll, take a glass very slowly.
So, as I said, the Royal Bengal tiger, no, you
Yeah.
move slowly with grace.
Yeah.
If you go a little slow, you get more noticed,
Ah,
okay, and people pay more attention to you.
okay.
Otherwise, it comes across as anxiety, and you're trying to just, stumble into things, and you do not have stock of the
Yeah.
situation. So go a little slow.
So
You'll
even
get-
when I'm having a meeting, let's say with a prospect client,
yeah,
I should talk slow and wo ठहराव के साथ with that bassy voice.
that's right.
Yeah.
And speak the lingo of the other person.
Like,
For example, I'm not saying man, I'm saying guy. All of a sudden, my daughter started calling me bro. I said, Arey, what nonsense? Arey, I'm your dad. She said, no, you're my bro. I said, where do you learn this? She said, everybody's calling bro. I said, okay, fine, bro. So I started calling her bro because that's her lingo. She's just 7. I picked up that. And she connects to me more now because I'm calling bro. So you've got to pick the other person's dialect or the language, lingo that they're using. That tells you and I are same. So you have to quickly listen to what they're saying. And most important, the pain point. What's the pain point of the other person? Talk to them for 4 5 minutes, they'll tell you the pain point. And just talk about the pain point. That'll get the other person's interest. Dale Carnegie says to come across as interesting, you have to be interested in the other person, right? There was this one of these cases that I was working on, and the suspect used to play PUBG. I did not have much of an idea about PUBG, so I did a YouTube tutorial on how to play PUBG, what not. I saw a demo. Then I was doing something on my phone. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm trying to learn more about PUBG." I knew he was playing PUBG. I tried to show it as my own interest. So he said, I can tell you. So I said, okay, great. Can you teach me how? So he said, yeah, I can teach you. So he wanted to take that upper hand. I wanted to give him that upper hand because that was his interest. Talk about their areas of interest or the pain point. They'll take that command. Let them take that.
okay. Body language of Gaur Gopal Das.
Okay. Body language of Gaur Gopal Das. There is a lot of facial expression on his face when he talks. And then he waits. when he's saying something, so that to see if the other person has absorbed the idea. And then he smiles, and the pupil dilates. He opens the eyes wide and he smiles. And then again, he goes slow. And there's always a story that he has. You relate more to stories than statistics. That's how you've grown up. I tell you a story, you'll remember that more in comparison to, these many people died in this whatever pandemic. You'll not remember that, but you'll remember a story. So he tells a story. He looks into people's eyes and he makes that personal contact even in an audience, right? And he smiles, big smile, go slow, talks slow. The rate of speech is very slow for certain things, and there's a lot of inflection in his voice, if you see.
Yes.
And he says there वो छोटा सा लड़का
हाँ.
बड़ी सी बात करने लग गया.
Super, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Ah.
There's a lot of inflection in his voice. That's what he does. That just catches your attention. Oh,
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah.
Because it's not a straight line. No, it's not
Yeah.
a dead heart.
Yeah.
It's beating, it's falling. So you see those crest center struts.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when he was called,
Yeah.
so the first thing that he does is, Umesh Joshi, आप आइए और नीचे उतरिए and come and help. So he pulls up his sleeve and then he looks behind. Why does he look behind? He has to come forward to the stage because he's checking for an exit door. He really wants to escape. He's not sure about the answer. He comes and touches Amitabh Bachchan's feet and Amitabh Bachchan said, no, it's okay, don't do that. So he says, are you sure कि आपको आंसर पता है? He said, yeah, मुझे आंसर पता है. क्या आंसर है? He said कि वो कूड़ादान, garbage. So he says, are you sure? Amitabh Bachchan's signature move. He says, yes, sir. Quickly compresses his lips. He said, so should I press it? Yes, sir. So then Amitabh Bachchan knows that he's pressed something else. Now he's coming and changing answer over here. So he also slowly asks him, are you sure? So he first he does this, then he does this. And then finally he says कि उमेश जोशी कह ही रहे हैं कि ये आंसर है तो यही प्रेस कीजिए. And then he says, तो and then when he's about to say the answer, he blocks his eyes. If he knew the answer, what was the big surprise about? So he blocks his eyes and he says, thank God they won. And then he puts a hand on his stomach. Oh, bal bal bache. That way, and he says, मुझे, he does this. क्या मुझे जाने दो मैं निकल रहा हूँ. He doesn't say that, but yeah, that's what the body language says.
Okay.
So everything can be translated, whether it be a TV show, whether it be a news show, whether it be real life, everything.
Okay. Body language, is it a science or pseudoscience?
Oh, there was an article. I think this is a lot of science, as we've spoken about a lot of research in my interview, or a lot of scientists working on it, or happening in the mother's womb. A lot of science, lot of science. This is all a part of our autonomic nervous system. You get stressed, it comes in your body, it gets manifested. So it's a lot of science.
I want you to read my body language. अभी हो गया है आधा पौना घंटा. आपने मुझे observe कर लिया होगा. अब आप बताओ what is my body language?
See, what I could see is, one, of course, you're taking interest, and you're comfortable also, is what I see, with both your elbows right there on the arms of the sofa. But of course, there's a stress also creeping in between with both your fingers, going inside, that I see very often. So there's a digital flexion happening for you. Yeah, so you're recalling. I see you recalling, then I see you coming back. Yeah.
You're noticing that?
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
How are you noticing that?
I'm seeing your eye movement. You're going back and then you come back and you say, you know what, this wanted to ask this thing, you go back. So that I'm seeing in real time. But otherwise, I'm not seeing much of movement in the feet. So they're steady. So that tells me that it's all good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The problem is I'm giving an interview, but I'm also reading in real time. So that's a problem. That's too much of input coming for me.
But do you have to read in real time? I mean, generically, I'm sure a lot of things for you, because, you're into this professionally, a lot of things would also be subconsciously happening for you, right? Like reading the other person. The moment we walked in, you said this person, tuck, 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 tuck.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like another language, Hindi, English, and body language. So because now it's operating at subconscious level, I can't help it. That's the problem. But I'm also listening to you and I'm also responding, but I'm also reading you. So, and that's in real time. So, but I see that you're expressive with face. Okay, you're expressive with face. Whenever there's concern, there's two vertical lines quickly jump out, and then I see those. That is there, and I also see some childlike, side of you that's coming out with excitement or something.
Okay. Gaurav Ji, I cannot thank you enough. This is one of the very few free-flowing conversations I've had in the small podcast career that I've had. It has felt more like a chat and as though I were talking to a friend.
Yeah. Me too. So when he said 1.5 hour has gone by, so I said, "Oh, you were also zapped," and I was flabbergasted. Actually, 1.5 hour has gone.
Yeah.
It was easy thanks to you. I didn't know that how it would turn out. I must thank you. You help in reducing the resistance
Yeah.
and making it warm and friendly.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
In case you'd like to be a part of our online and in-person yoga, diet and spiritual programs, you can join our WhatsApp group below where we post all our upcoming programs and give free tips on health, diet and lifestyle.